at the NFL Scouting Combine with NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah. DJ, all the talk is about the quarterbacks. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, it's no secret. The 49ers are in a market for a QB. It's a mixed bag this year. Lots of strengths, but very noted weaknesses as well. Who's your guy?
You know, this is funny because normally this time of the year, I've got a guy. I'm committed to him. I talk about last year, Carson Wentz. Before we got to Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl, I was married to Carson Wentz. Okay, I knew that was my guy. I'm rolling with him. This year, here we are at the Combine. And I'm having commitment issues here. We look at this quarterback group. So I'm still like TBD on these guys. I have the three guys up there at the top. I look at Trubisky, who I think had the best tape this year. I look at Deshaun Kaiser, whose tape last year is better than anything we saw from anybody this year. And then you've got Deshaun Watson, who's kind of been like a steadying force. So they're all kind of jumbled in there for me together. Mahomes is a little bit lower for me than maybe some other folks have him. But Deshaun Kaiser, I think, has the most ability, the tools to work with in today's NFL. I think he's got a lot to work with.
And then you look at the receivers. It's really a two-headed race for that first guy off the board, whether it's Mike Williams or Corey Davis. On what side do you stand?
Yeah, I love both of them, but I have Corey Davis as my top guy. I don't think that'll change based on what these guys run. I mean, Corey Davis is not going to be able to work out here in Indianapolis, but I think they're both number one guys. And if people ask you what's the definition of a number one wide receiver, I always say, look, it's third down and in the red zone. Everybody in the whole stadium knows where the ball's going, and the defense can't do anything about it because that guy can just make a play for you. And I think both those guys fit that description. I think they're ready to come in and make an immediate impact day one. And a lot of these teams you're picking up there at the top, you know, a lot of times we can look on the defensive side of the ball, need pass rushers, need corners. Some of these teams can't score. You got to have some point scorers, and I think both those guys will do that for you.
Such a deep draft is what everybody's been saying, and so it makes it hard to project who's going to go in the first round. But if you look at pick 34 in the second round, whether it's a quarterback or a wide receiver, who's left on the board?
Well, I think Mahomes, there's a good chance Mahomes will be there. I think one of those big three that I mentioned earlier, there's an outside chance one of those three quarterbacks could be there. Where you talk about receivers, was that the other position? Yeah. Receiver-wise, I think John Ross is potentially still there from Washington because you got some medical issues there with him. You look at guys beyond that. I mean, Cooper Kupp is not going to go that high. I mean, to me, I love him. I think he's worth that. He's not going to be the fastest guy in the world. I just think he's a darn good football player. Somebody that you could factor in. Maybe you could trade back at that point in time. And this draft makes a lot of sense to me because third, fourth round, you got great value picks. So why not slide back a little bit, just get a rock-solid football player like him?
Take Myles Garrett out of the conversation. Who's the next best defender on the board?
Next best defender on the board for me, it's one of the two Ohio State kids. So I have Marshawn Lattimore, I believe 3. I have Malik Hooker 2. So my top 3 players are all defensive guys. Garrett number 1, and then Hooker to me, having been around Ed Reed for 4 years with the Ravens when I was scouting there, he reminds me so much of him. He's just got rare ball skills, range, instincts, all that stuff off the charts. And then Lattimore to me is, I don't know, we use the term shutdown corner anymore. He's pretty darn good.
DJ, I know I ask you this every year. Who's your guy, whether it's draft crush, whatever you want to call it, who you say, why aren't people talking about this guy? Because I watch the tape and I like what I see.
Wow, that's a great question. I've got so many of those guys this
year.
Give
me a couple of them.
I mean, I've been tweeting about it. Everybody gives me a hard time about my Ashland tight end here, Adam Shaheen, who's 6'6", 270-plus pounds. He can run. He makes all kinds of plays. And if we stay at that position, O.J. Howard's a great player, and he gets a lot of attention. But I think David Njoku from Miami is got a higher ceiling. I think he's a better football player. So I think we'll start to see him get a little more attention as we roll through the process. Those are a couple good ones.